Hi, good morning. Um, so, as you can see from the picture, I'm just going to run through what I am going to be taking on a camp tonight. Now, as a bit of background, I used to do a lot of camping when I was younger. I was part of, I guess you call it an outdoor pursuits group where we would talk survival tactics. We did a couple of weeks in Exmoor and, all sorts of military kind of stuff, although it wasn't military. And into my 20s and 30s, did a lot of camping with friends, usually under a big tarp, and we'd have a drink and a smoke and whatever. But I haven't for a long time. Now I'm in my very early 50s, and I've had for the last year an urge to get camping again. With when you sort of get later on in life, things that you would do when you were younger become more difficult, more daunting. So this has been a fairly long journey for me. I've been a big shout out to the Facebook group Wild Camping UK. I've been a lurker on there for quite a while, watching, listening, gathering knowledge, watching loads of YouTube stuff. Grizzly Gaz, Daily Outdoors, Backpacking UK. There's quite a few more that I watch, Wild Bear, and a few that I can't remember at the time. My point being is I spent a long time preparing and getting up the courage to actually go. Now, I have done a camp with my wife, and it was on they call it a nearly wild campsite. I won't say where it was or where it is, but I'm based in northeast London, and it's very close to me. And it was a horrendous experience. We got there, we couldn't park the car in the car park. We had to park literally in the bushes, which scratched all the car up. It was the hottest day and consequently the hottest night of the year. And there must have been 100 people, if not more, on the campsite itself. And it was all night. Basically, they just partied all night. So it wasn't the peace and quiet that we were looking for. So it was a shame that was a bit of a failure. But we did get a chance to test out some of our gear. The tent we used was a Jackal 3, which was brilliant. A bit warm, but then again, it was a very, very hot night. So, but anyway, I'm rambling. So the point of this is, tonight I've booked a wild campsite, which is up in Cambridge, so it's about an hour and a half from me, with a point to testing out all this gear that I've accumulated over the last 8 months to a year, something like that. And if that goes well, then I live on the edge of Epping Forest, so I quite fancy some stealth camping. But this will be, in the 51 years I've been on the planet, the first time I've camped on my own, albeit on a campsite, so there is, safe and all the rest of it, but it's still quite daunting. So what I want to do is I'm going to obviously film when I've set the tent up and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to run through the gear now because I didn't want to do that, with people around. I'm a bit self-conscious anyway. I certainly don't want to be filming whilst I'm doing this for the first time. So, or not relying on filming while I'm doing this for the first time. So, without further ado, I'm going to go through these bits. I've written a list down of where I can kind of remember where I got it from and the prices. So hopefully I'll run through that with yourselves. And hopefully this will help someone who's looking for stuff, or even to pluck up the courage to do it for the first time. That I've seen a lot of people, I'm out on the peaks and I'm out on the lakes and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and it's pissing down and it's freezing, and hats off. It's if you're in that frame of mind and you're carefree, I don't see it as a big problem. But if you're a little bit more conscious about safety, and you've lived your sort of fairly recent life comfortably, i.e. sleeping in the bed every night, and you have all your home comforts, then it can be a big challenge. And the reason I want to do this is because I find it uncomfortable, and I think that if you find something uncomfortable, you should challenge it. and you should try and do whatever it is that makes you uncomfortable. So that's why I'm going to do this. So anyway, let's run through some of the gear. Right. So I think we'll start with what I'll be carrying this stuff in. Now, some of this stuff I have not scrimped on. Some of this stuff I've kind of seen the necessity of what I'm actually going to be doing with it and try to budget appropriately for that. So as far as the bag to carry all this stuff, I've gone for what I thought was a really decent bag. But I haven't paid a fortune for it. I don't need it to be super lightweight. I'm not going to be hiking miles and miles and miles and miles. When I do solo camp, it's either going to be in the forest, which is at the end of my road, or if we do go hiking, then it's going to be with my wife, and she's going to obviously share some of the burden. So the bag, bear with me, I actually got from Argos, and it's a Summit 65 litre. It's actually a really decent bag. It's more of a Bergen style, not completely a Bergen, but it's only got one sort of fairly thin small pocket on the front, small web pocket on the side and on the other side, and then everything else goes inside. It's got a pocket on the lid as well, and you can unzip the bottom, obviously, if you're putting a wet tent, or keep your bag, sleeping bag dry or whatever. And it is also adjustable. You can see it's a pretty rudimentary, hopefully you can see that, it's a pretty rudimentary way of doing it, but it is adjustable. So I got that from Argos, and that was 33 quid, 33 pounds, and it's fairly lightweight, and it's reportedly is supposed to be waterproof, but I think if I was hiking or walking with it, I'd have a poncho anyway, which in the event of rain would cover that as well, but we'll get onto that later. So let's start with the tent. So for me, when I'm going on my own, I'm going to be using tonight anyway a Raccoon 2.1, which is this one. Now, apart from the poles and the pegs, everything is in here. Both the inner and the outer are in this bag, so it does pack down quite small. And when you buy it, it comes with two of these, and they pack it separately, and then it all goes in another bag. But I can't see the point in all the bags, so I've just packed it all in that for now. I guess if it pisses down, I probably wouldn't want to get the inner wet, so this probably wouldn't be the best idea. You'd probably want to keep them separately, but there isn't really any rain. There's a possibility of an hour of sort of 40% showers, but I don't think there's going to be any rain tonight. So anyway, that's the tent. Now I bought that not cheaply, unfortunately. I've been looking at it for a while and I waited for it, and I only managed to get it cheapest 120 quid. All these prices I'm going to say are not including postage, because I can't remember what I paid postage or most of it. Excuse me. So I think I got it from, I think it was Ultimate Outdoors. It was one of the Go Outdoors Black Millets group. But anyway, so that's the tent, poles, and what I did do is I bought some lighter, different pegs, because I hate the pegs that came with it. So these are more like the Nature Hike ones that come, although they don't twist, but they're reasonably robust. And these are pegs were from Amazon, and they were $9.99, and there's 12 in there. That's that. So I've also purchased a footprint. Now, when I used to go camping, there was no such thing as footprints. You had your tent and you had your ground sheet, and then when it got more advanced, your ground sheet was part of your tent, be it one skin or two skin. Nowadays, I suppose because the tents are so thin and the material is so thin, there seems to be this thing about footprints or ground sheets. I've never used that, and I've never done that before. So I measured up what I would need, and I bought a footprint for the Raccoon 2.1. I'm probably never going to use it, but tonight I'm going, apparently it's a woodland pitch that I've got, and sometimes they can be a bit stumpy and all the rest of it. So I did buy a footprint for it, because I don't want to get it damaged if I don't, need to. And it's one of these from Amazon, and the footprint was £14, and it's a Clost Nature, CLOST Nature. Hopefully you can see that. So now this next item, there's a bit of a Marmite relationship with this on the Facebook groups. I wasn't planning on getting one. However, I looked into it and I thought, when I go with the missus camping, if it is raining or if it's not great, we would like to sit outside. And although the Jackal 2 has kind of a vestibule at the front, I'm actually looking into getting a different tent because it's a tunnel tent. It's one in, one out, and it's a bit of a pain. One entrance in, obviously, one entrance out. So what I've actually looking at purchasing, and I've done a fair amount of research on this, is the Forceat, Forceat, I think they are, 4-person, 3 or 4-person tent, because you've got vestibules at either side. It's basically like the Raccoon, but you know, a bigger version. It's kind of, I suppose, a little bit like the Monga, Nature Hike Monga, kind of like that. Anyway, point being, I thought it'd be cool to sit outside, and then I saw this, the OEX Expedition Tarp. Now I know that there is some people that think it's great, some people that think it's shit and pointless and expensive for what it is. However, I picked it up for £30 on sale, and they are like rocking horse shit. They don't stay in stock for very long at Go Outdoors or wherever, and I can't remember where I got it from. I think it might have been Go Outdoors. I got it for 30 quid. Now this looks massive because this is also inside here. If I open it up, there's also got this in the bag, and this is it's basically a chair, and you'll see this on the video hopefully later. But it's a camping chair. It's actually very light. I'm not going to weigh it, I don't know how much it weighs, but it's very light. It's probably weighs less than a litre of water. And what I did with this is I bought this one and I bought another one off of AliExpress, both slightly different. This is basically a copy of the Mayfly chair, the sort of low chair that sits on the ground. You'll see it later, it's pointless me explaining it now. But I paid I've looked into the Mayfly chairs and they're like over 100 quid. But this has a copy of it from Amazon, and it's called a iClimb low chair. Yeah. I as in the letter I, not II. iClimb low chair. And this was quite expensive still. It's just under 50 quid from Amazon. But it's very light and it's really comfortable. If I don't get a chance to explain it later, what I did is I bought this one and I bought another one, a different one off of AliExpress, which came in at about 20 quid, I think. And the fabric, the actual seat fabric on this one is quite heavy. It's more like fishing chair kind of fabric, which made it a little bit heavy. So on the AliExpress version was a really lightweight nylon, which I really liked. So what I've actually done is tested them, and they are interchangeable. So I've got the very lightweight AliExpress fabric for the chair on the iClimb frame, if that makes sense. So if you see it later and you think, that doesn't look like the picture, that's why. But there's nothing wrong with the other one, it's just a little bit heavier. So that's the iClimb low chair, which is essentially a Mayfly copy. Okay, that's that. So that's the tent, Expedition Tarp, which take it or leave it, bag, chair. So now we'll get into sleep system. Now I've got a winter bag, which is a Snugpak Navigator, and the reason I went for that, again, Snugpak is a brand that I've, just from my research on the internet, some people love, some people hate. I've got a few Snugpak bits, and to be honest, I can't knock it at all. I think it's great stuff. However, I've got a Snugpak Navigator, and the reason I chose the Navigator is because I hate mummy bags. I can't stand them. I've got my feet are size 11, and that's not huge. I don't like them being restricted, so I wanted a square bag or a rectangular bag, which is what the Navigator is. However, that's a winter bag. Now, there's some said it's not warm enough for winter, and I'm not bringing it tonight, but what I do have is a Sea to Summit Thermalite Reactor Extreme, or whatever it's called, as a sort of emergency backup if that's not warm enough in the winter. But we'll see, because I do like camping in the winter, or used to like camping in the winter. But for now, what we use tonight, and the temperature is going to be about 22, and it's going to go down to about 12 or 14, something like that. That's what it's supposed to do. So as far as a sleeping bag, I'm actually using this, and it's a Snugpak fleece sleeping bag liner. It's not a sleeping bag, it's just a sleeping bag liner, but it's a fleece liner. And I've used this when we went camping when it was really hot, and it was actually fine. So this, I'm sure tonight is going to be plenty. Now this, I think, I can't remember how much I paid for this, but it wasn't fortunes. So I would just search for whoever's selling it cheapest. So that's the Snugpak fleece liner. The other thing I liked about this, for a liner, it's got a zip on it as well, which is rare. So that's kind of like a really, really thin sleeping bag, which is why I chose this. That's that. And obviously comes in the stuff sack. Now the next part is, in case that's not warm enough, but this is also part of bits that I've picked up over the years. I do have another bag which has got, it's almost like a grab bag. I'm not really a prepper as such, but I like to kind of be prepared for stuff, and also I stay away in hotels for work, and some of the places I've stayed are questionable with the linen. So I have a Sea to Summit travel liner, which I take with me, but I've also got this which I take with me, and it's kind of like a 2 or 3 in 1 solution for some bits. So this is a Swagman roll poncho liner. It's supposed to be reasonably water, I won't say proof, but water repellent, water resistant, water repellent, whatever. And this for me is great because you can zip it up as a sleeping bag. So I can put this around the fleece liner, but you can also wear this, or you can have it as a blanket. It's actually really versatile. So it's a Swagman roll poncho liner, and this was actually quite expensive. There's 2 versions. There's one that's not got any kind of water repelling features, and then there's this one which has, and this was about 110 quid. So this was actually quite expensive, but it comes with a bag, but it's also got a large pocket on the chest, and you basically roll it into its own pocket or stuff it into its own pocket, which is what I've done here. So that's that. So that's my sleep system, as in what keeps me warm. Now what I'm going to be sleeping on is this. This is just a buff which holds it all together, and this is a Trekology UL80. Again, there's love and hate for these on the internet. I've used it, I've had it in the house pumped up and left it for days, and it hasn't deflated, and I've got one and my wife's got one, and we used them on that one night, and there wasn't any issue with it. Rolled in this is also, you can see, is the pillow as well, which is the Trekology A-Luft Pro, which is slightly bigger and slightly thicker because I'm a side sleeper, and I found the normal UL or normal A-Luft pillow to be not quite thick enough, and this is just a buff, and I just put the buff around the pillow to make it a bit nicer to sleep on. That's that. Right, next on the list I've got water. This is just a 1 litre Nalgene. I like these because they're BPA free. They've got a very wide mouth, and they can also take hot water. I think they can actually take boiling water, but this I picked up from Wild Bounds, I believe it was, and it was $13.50. I bought 2 of them, one for me, one for the other half, and again, this colour is Woodsman, but it's quite a nice browny colour. But again, yeah, I don't know what the postage was on that, but it's $13.50 for that. I also carry this, which is, now I got this from, I think it was Temu, which I've had a few times. I've shopped there a few times and never had a problem with them. I know you're kind of taking your chances with AliExpress and Temu, but you know, I've not had a problem. This is a stainless steel. It's kind of like the Ranger, you know, the bottle, which you can, because there's no rubber on this part of it, you can almost use it like a billy can and boil the whole litre of water, or just use the mug, which is this part. Now this isn't that one that came with it, because one that came with it was steel, was stainless steel. This is a Lixada, everyone knows brand Lixada, I think it was AliExpress, and it's a 650ml titanium cup. The reason I chose titanium is because it tends to heat up quicker, but more importantly it cools down quicker as well when you're trying to grab it off the fire. But to be honest, what I generally do is and I've had this out a few times when I've gone on walks and stuff and had a brew or a pot noodle when I'm walking through the forest, testing my stove and stuff like that. I just use this this bag cover and just put it on my hand and then pick it up. So that's that. I've just got a dry bag with some spare clothes in it. Probably I'm not going to need them tonight, but I want to kind of take everything to see how heavy the bag is, and see what I would use and what not. So there's socks, pants. I think there's a bamboo top, a t-shirt for sleeping if it's very hot. There's also a pair of leggings in there, well not leggings, but a pair of tracksuit bottoms in there that are bamboo as well. I find bamboo is, although it's a little bit heavy, it's really good for keeping you cool and that. So that's just in a, what are these called? Waterproof bag. I can't remember what they're called. Canoe bag, whatever you want to call them. I wouldn't normally take these, but I'm going to try them because I did when I went with the missus, and they were actually really good. They're just basically jumbo wet wipes. So these are called Travel Buddy, and they're biodegradable, which I like because I know you get a lot of camping. Some of the camping stuff is not biodegradable, and yeah, I'm never going to save the planet by camping, but I try and like to be as eco as I can when I can. So that's them. They're really heavy. That's the only thing I'd say about these. This is just my toiletries bag, I suppose, and I've just got stuff. I've got a bit of everything in here. So I've got alcohol gel, Sea of Summit poo shovel. Not that I'll be needing that tonight because there's a toilet there. Sun cream, tissue or toilet paper, whatever you want to call it. Lip balm. You can just use the little tubs of Vaseline. I don't like them much though, so I prefer this. This is cool. It's like a bamboo toothbrush thing, very light. It pops on there. It's like a little travel toothbrush, and just a small toothpaste. What I have done, not that I'm going to poo in a bag, but I've got a couple of poo bags as well, just in case you know this gets muddy or blah blah blah. That all goes in there. In the dry bag, that's what they're called, dry sack or whatever. That's that. Right, this has got my cook stuff in it, so I'll quickly go through that. So what I've got is an Esbit brass stove. It's basically got a top on it which has a handle, and you can also, it's got, I think they call it a simmer lid or something, and then you've got the actual main lid there which has got a seal on it, and it's just an alcohol burner. Got a couple of these. It smells lovely. Really good, really good little stove. I've got a thing which I should put some fuel. I don't use meths because I don't like the smoke. I know you can put a bit of water in it. I just tend to use the biofuel or whatever it's called, which you can pick up most places. Got a very small lighter, another very small lighter. 2 is 1, 1 is none. That's what they say, isn't it? And I've got a tiny little steel, which basically you just undo, and then you undo the other bit, and that's what it's got, the ferro rod on it. Bit of an emergency thing. And then this, which is really cool. Well, I think it is anyway. And this is just basically a, you just put it together like so. and it's a fire thing. You pop that inside and you put your alcohol burner and it keeps it off the ground, and stops the wind getting to it, which is good for an alcohol stove. This is by Jolmo Lander. It's titanium. I don't know if you can see that on there. Jolmo Lander. And I paid, well, the stove was 14 quid from Amazon and the guard was 25 quid, so a bit expensive, but titanium stuff tends to be a little bit more expensive. So, oh, and in there is the top, the lid for the cup as well. From the cook set. So that's all of that shizzle. And the reason I put it in there is because I can easily take this out and put it in a small rucksack when I'm going for a ramble and I want to have a brew or something, which I do quite often. Last part of the cook set is the obligatory sports spoon. Spork, long-handled, titanium. I think this was another AliExpress or Temu special. I don't even know what the brand is. Tito, T-I-T-O. Could be anything. I know Lixada do them anyway. That's that. Right, what next? Oh, we might as well carry on with food. So I've had a couple of these and I've not been impressed with them, but I'm going to take tonight. I've got a chili non carne, dried thingy. You boil up your water, put it in, wait a little bit, and I've got some baked apple porridge for the morning. I may eat before I go anyway. I may not even use them, but I've got them. And I always take this, which is, because I stay in hotels for work, I always pick up bits of tea and sugar and whatever else. I've also got this coffee, which is amazing. This is, it's by Nescafe, and they're little sachets of, because I don't do dairy, so it's got oat milk in it. And you just basically pour it in and that's it, it's all in there. You don't need to add milk or anything. And I probably add a little bit of sugar, but you don't need to do that really. And this is also some hot chocolate, which has got the plant-based milk in it and all that already in it. I'm not going to bang on about that, but if you want additional details of what the hot chocolate was or the specifics of the coffee, then just leave a comment or whatever and I'll let you know what it is. Right, so this is a Flextail Tiny Repel mosquito repellent. I used it on the hottest night of the year. I didn't get bitten once, and my missus, who is very susceptible to bites, she didn't get bitten either. Now, we did combine it with these Incognito mosquito 100% natural incense stick thingies. I don't even know where I got these from. But I was really impressed with the Tiny Repel. So what I've done, some of you are going to shriek because of resale value, but in here is basically my electronics. So I've got, you can see that hopefully, the Tiny Repel. I've got the Flextail Mini 2 or Tiny 2 pump or whatever it is with the one that works for my Trichology, the insert that works for my Trichology stuff. And a lead there, which is so that I can use the Tiny Repel as a power bank if I need to, even though I'll bring a power bank. And these are wireless headphones, just because I've got a couple of films downloaded in case it turns out to be an all-night party at the place I'm going tonight. I can drown out some of that nonsense. So that's that. And because I liked the case it came in, all I did is I cut this part of the case out just so I could fit these in easier, because all that's in there is a lead really, so it's a bit pointless. That's that. Right, in here is Smidge and a midge head net. This is a Life Systems one. This is not a mosquito net, this is a midge net, because the midge nets they've got a finer weave. If you've got a mosquito head net, it will keep mosquitoes out, but sometimes they don't keep midges out because they're a lot smaller. So that's it in there. First aid kit. This is a Medical Kit 5 ultralight watertight. So it's in a waterproof bag. It's pretty much got everything you want in there. I have put a couple of, this was 24 quid, so not cheap. But I've seen other bits and pieces and they all tend to have the same stuff, but the stuff I found in it I thought was better quality. I've got some other bits in here. So I've got some painkillers, and because I am susceptible occasionally to migraines, I've got some Migraleave, which anyone who's had migraines know these are fucking lifesavers. Don't work for everyone, but they do work for me. And because you can't have them on an empty stomach, I've got a emergency bar. Other than that, it's a first aid kit. It's got alcohol wipes, it's got after bite, it's got bandages, it's got moleskin, it's got blister plasters. It's got all sorts of stuff. They do different ones. This is group size 1 for 1 to 2 days hiking or biking. Any first aid kit would do. Just take a first aid kit. Other than that, we're getting down to so head torch. I've got this head torch which I love. It's a Nebo Micro. Now I paid £15 from this on Amazon. It was on a deal at the time. I like this because it's really tiny, it's really bright, it doesn't take any batteries, you just charge it with USB. But the good thing about this, if you press and hold the on button, it goes straight to red light, so you don't blind yourself in the middle of the night. And the only thing it doesn't do, or I haven't found that it does yet, is turn off from this position. You have to kind of scroll through all the others to turn it off. So usually I'll just put my finger over it and then turn it off. But yeah, brilliant, love that. Waterproof, most of the time I'll take a poncho, but I have this. This is made by Highlander. If you don't know who Highlander are, they make some really, really good gear. I've got another bag from them. It's called a Eagle, either a 2 or a 3, it's 40 litre, which is kind of like a lightweight. I suppose it's kind of my go bag, although I'm not really preparing for the end of the world, but it's just got stuff in it, essential stuff that I can just grab if I really needed to. Really good bag, really good stuff. This is a Stow and Go jacket. Wasn't cheap, but it's really waterproof, 6,000 millimeters, and it's breathable as well. And it packs down quite small. It's got a hood and blah blah blah. I probably always use a poncho, but I've got this just in case. Other than that, the rest of it is kind of stuff. This is this is like a little EDC bag that I carry around or have in the car most of the time, and it's a bit of a repetition. It's got a little first aid kit in it. It's got a lighter in it. It's got a small torch, power bank, small compass. And a very small multi-tool, but that'll come with me anyway. Doesn't really weigh that much. And then I've just got some spare cord, which I would always take, a little micro Gorilla Tape thing, a small compass. This is not the compass I would use if I was going hiking. I've got a proper compass for that. This is just a little kid's one. This is really just so I can orientate myself to see where the sun's coming up and going down, and a kind of emergency thing. So that's that. I don't even know where I got this from. Glasses, because I'm as blind as a pig, blind as a bat, should I say, when I'm not wearing contact lenses. Yeah, in the morning I'm going to need to see what I'm doing and where I'm going. And contact lenses, although I use daily disposables, when you're camping you get a bit grubby, and I don't really want to be putting my fingers in my eyes. With grubby fingers. Pair of gloves, waterproof cap, and a beanie. And that is essentially everything. So if there's any questions about any of this, if I can remember, please leave a comment and I'll answer. So all in all, had a really nice trip, had a really nice overnight camp. As I suspected, I didn't film when I got to the campsite. One of the reasons was, as I said earlier, kind of a bit self-conscious about that, not having done this before really. And the other thing is I forgot my tripod, so it wasn't going to happen anyway. However, there was some bits and pieces that I thought I'd do differently next time, and that is definitely the Swagman roll wasn't warm enough. It got down to about 12, so I'll take the proper 3-season sleeping bag next time. I need to take more alcohol stove fuel because in the wind that burnt out very quickly. And I need to work out what I'm doing with water, because I took 2 litres and I came back with none, and I was very careful of what I did with it, and I didn't drink a lot of it. So and also the other thing is I had the fire pot meal, I didn't like that at all. So I think what I'm going to do is cook at home, and then take it with me and warm it up, or have some kind of alternative. And in the morning as well, just the coffee and a trail bar wasn't enough. So I'm probably going to be bringing some milk with me, and maybe having some cereal or porridge or something like that. But all in all, it was a great trip. All the gear worked really well. There wasn't any failures. There was a couple of bits extra that I won't take next time, but nothing drastic. Really enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next ones. Really appreciate you watching. Thank you.